Hey, what's up, guys? Brandon Gentile here, Legacy Group Real Estate Team. You have your insiders report, a little bit after November, but we're going to go back. We're going to be doing our report here, insiders report. It's going to be about crypto. It's going to be about some of the things that are going on right now with the mania surrounding crypto, and just some questions. I want to pose questions to people because I think when you see things that are going up like crazy and there's a frenzy with things, a lot of questions don't get answered, and a lot of times people just get caught up in it and they don't step back to ask themselves questions. And it's something that I'm actively doing. It's something I hope other people are doing as well, and it's something that I'm asking of other people when they do ask about it. Obviously crypto is something that is very prominent all of a sudden. There were some big moves made clearly over the last few months, and because of that, people took note, and some big players made some moves. There was some information that came out and made the people kind of in that second or third tier start to make some moves. So then everyone else below that took notice and really started jumping and getting crazy with it. So let's go through. I want to go through a couple of things, some positives and negatives, and then also some questions that we need to ask ourselves. The positive is Bitcoin has blockchain. There's encryption with it. There's things that secure it. And it is also one of the biggest things. One of the things I like the most is that there's a limited supply. So those things are very positive about it. They're very good. It's something that is going to be good going forward for any cryptocurrency. But some of the negatives, obviously, government can get their hands on it eventually. It's one way or another. I mean, we see Russia already. Russia outlawed it and then just turned around and said, "Okay, great, we just made our own." So we see it. We saw it with gold and silver. And many of you, as you know, that follow us here, we love the different asset classes, right? Gold and silver are extremely undervalued right now. The most undervalued asset class there is. Still proves to be true to this day, and it's something that governments are going to get their hands on it. Let's just say that. They did it with gold and silver, and in the 30s, Franklin Delano Roosevelt came out, told everyone to turn in their gold and silver. People that did got screwed over, and the people that didn't, well, they made out. And then as soon as it was turned in, they revalued it. And like I said, those people that turned it in got screwed. So you have to ask yourself those questions. How long will this last? What will happen? You're tracked everywhere you go. So people, obviously a lot of governments, a lot of the institutions, they want to track you wherever you are. Now, some people think that's a good thing. Some people think it's a bad thing. I don't necessarily think that's a great thing. I don't think that humans should be tracked wherever they go. I don't think our privacy should be completely gone. So I'm on record as saying that's not a good thing. People do need their privacy. They need their independence. We shouldn't be tracking people because the problem is we don't know who's tracking those people. In a perfect world, in a utopia, yes, just tracking everyone just for the safety reason. If every person was truly a perfect person, which we know is not true, then it would be okay. Then it'd be totally fine. But since we know that we're all human beings, that we all have faults, you can't trust man with that power. So you shouldn't be able to be tracked. And being all digital, 100% digital, we've seen, I believe it's India, we've seen a lot of different countries that have gone to or trying to go to, they're getting rid of big dollar denominations, they're trying to get rid of cash, trying to go digital. That way they can completely control the currency supply. Then, there's some positive, people won't be able to cheat on taxes and things like that. I mean, there may be ways that spring up, but there are positives and negatives, just like anything in life. Obviously, the car, there's a positive and negative with it. It helped us with transportation, but it's also one of the biggest killers in the world. So, there's always positive and negatives to everything, and these are just the questions I want to pose and make people think about before we venture down these roads too far and we look back and say, wow, what did we just do? So again, there's a lot of things I love about cryptocurrency. We just went through some of the positives and negatives, but these are some of the things I want people to look into and ask themselves. I would love people to go look up the tulip mania. That's something, just Google that and what was happening there. It's a very good research on watching bubbles and how bubbles form, what they do, what they are, and it's something that was in the 17th century, and it literally had to do with tulips and people getting crazy with tulips. And it just goes to show, again, the properties of that really aren't good. The properties of cryptocurrency are way better, but the point remains the same, that people can get way out of kilter, they can get way out of whack when we're starting to go down this frenzy, go down this inflation route, going down this mania route. One of the big things also that we look at is the 200-day moving average. The 200-day moving average is something that, sorry, I'm muting this. The 200-day moving average is something that we look at, especially like in silver and gold. And right now, especially silver, like again, silver is awesome because it just dropped about $2 in the last month or so because of Bitcoin. And the move upwards that's made. So again, an undervalued asset, even becoming more undervalued. I think it's probably hitting its bottom temporarily. It's probably going to hit a bottom here because it's hitting. It's well below its 200-day moving average. So you take the last 200 days prices and you divide it by 200, you get a huge moving average, and it's way below that line right now. So we know that it's underpriced. Probably not going to stay there that long. So again, those are different things like that. Really the biggest thing, like I said, you gotta know the fundies, you gotta know the fundamentals. It's a little play on words, a little play on Instagrammers, some hockey guys that do some Instagramming, but you gotta know the fundies, guys. You know the difference between the assets and liabilities, true assets and true liabilities, but also know the difference between the asset classes. Know the difference really between buying low and selling high. You have to. The financial education is the most important education you're gonna have. Robert Kiyosaki's on record saying, he's, got 5 to 10,000 apartment units. I mean, he's on the record saying, if I worked at McDonald's, I could become a wealthy person. It's because it's the mindset. He has a wealthy mindset. He knows the fundamentals of investing, and it's not something you're just born with. I mean, most people think that it's just you're lucky that, whatever it may be, you're born with it. Or born knowing it, but it's not. It's all completely education. So knowing what exactly you're looking for, knowing what you're doing. And again, it can be simple as things like that: buying low and selling high. People jumping into Bitcoin right now. And again, Bitcoin could go to $1 million. And but again, know the fundamentals. Do the research. If it is still a good investment, then do it. It's not. It's something where I look at and I say, wow, the gold and silver are true money. They hold all the properties, and I'll go over the properties here in a second. They have all the true properties of money, and they have been for thousands of years. They've historically been money, and governments have used them as money and referred back to them when currency, dollars or paper currency collapsed, because they all do. All fiat currency goes to zero, every single one in history. They all refer them back to gold and silver. So those are the things that I want to just kind of bring up and people to just think about. And this is another thing: when crypto doubles, if people are in that and you have something that's doubling it and really gaining, it's gaining momentum and really climbing in altitude, it's something I would suggest is taking that money, and every time it doubles, take some of that out, invest it into something else. Every time you're making some profit there, invest some of that. Take a little percent out and invest it somewhere else, because true diversification is diversifying in different asset classes. It's not diversifying inside of one asset class. It's diversifying into different asset classes to make sure that when something does come, something big happens, that you are diversified and you are able to withstand that. I want to go through really quick here the properties of money, because this is really important. This is kind of the foundation of everything. Currency, so like we talked about, paper currency is fiat money. It's dollars, it's peso, it's the mark, it's whatever it is. It's the yen, it's the ruble. It's just paper, right? So currency, it's a medium of exchange. It's a unit of account. It's portable. You can move with it. Obviously, it's durable. It can last. It's divisible, so you can divide it and you can add, subtract it. It's fungible, so it's interchangeable. You can interchange it with other dollars. You can make change out of it, whatever you need to do. But money, true money, is gold and silver. As gold and silver stands, has all those values, except it's a store of value. The one thing it has that currency does not have is it's a store of value. And the one big problem with Bitcoin, and again, so that's gold and silver, and that's why gold and silver is so important. That's why they've always been true money, because they hold all the properties, not just 6 of the 7 or 9 of the 10. They hold all of them. And the one big thing with Bitcoin, like I said, if you don't have electricity, if you don't have something to plug your hard drive in, or something to turn your phone on, or get on that app, or be able to exchange that somehow, you don't have it, do you? That's the one thing that I think that we really need to answer ourselves, and we need to really look at and ask ourselves is, if I can't hold it, I don't have it, do I truly own it? I think the one big misconception that we all have as well is, like with a bank, that's not your money anymore. That's that's hard to hear, but it's not yours. The bank now owns that money. They're lending that out to other people, depending on what the fractional reserve currency, the fractional reserve policy is. They can loan up to whatever amount of that, up to, say 9 out of those $10, they can then loan. That's how people get loans on homes. Someone goes and deposits money in the bank, and then someone else comes in later that day and says, hey, I need a loan for a home or whatever it may be. And they take that money, your money, and they go out and that other person spends it. Or an intelligent investor or someone smart money comes in and says, hey, I need a loan for an apartment complex or a rental property. And they go take that money you just deposited and they go create more wealth for themselves. So is your money truly yours? That's one thing I want people to answer and ask themselves. And I also want people to think about, if you can't hold your money and there's no way to hold it, if it's just completely digital, it's just out there in cyberspace, do you truly own it? Can you go get it now? Can you truly get it? If something happens, can you truly have it in your hand? Is it yours? Do you own it? So that's something, a serious question that we all need to answer. We all need to think about and really start pondering. Again, and just wrapping up, what will happen? Like I said this in the beginning, what will happen when governments start getting their hands on it? And we're already seeing that. Wall Street now is eating crow. They're starting to, they're really starting to turn around from what they were saying initially. But do you truly own it? If you can't hold it, do you truly own it? Who is then going to be regulating it eventually? Because you're not going to have, let's be totally real. You're not going to have just this separate world where the government isn't in control of money. One of the roles of government is to, a couple things. It's to watch the exchange of money, make sure things are okay. The military, roads, things like that. They have a couple real true jobs basically, and that's one of them. So do you think that they're going to just let the world go operate on cryptocurrency and they're not going to be involved in it? Let's be real. We have all of human history to tell us otherwise. Governments want their power. They want the money. The governments need money. Government needs money to run. So they're going to have their hands in it eventually one way or another. So again, stuff to think about. Again, the natural disaster thing, EMP, solar flares, the grid going down, war, whatever it may be, natural disasters. When the grid goes out, when the electricity is gone, how do you transact? How is Bitcoin or how is cryptocurrency going to be used? Again, those are questions. They're just, like I said, I wanted to ask a lot of questions. I wanted people to answer these questions and think about these things, but this is what's super important. And again, I know this is boring to some people. It fascinates other people. If this fascinates me, because money and currency, they span all of our lives. It's literally in everything we do, every walk of our life, from going to the grocery store to putting gas in our car to buying Christmas presents to buying Hanukkah gifts, whatever it may be. You are affected by money. You're affected by currency. You're affected by what's going on right now. This is why it's truly important. There's not one person that can sit there and say, this does not affect me. It affects every single one of us. And that's why we have to be paying attention to it and asking these questions. And again, I talked about this the other day, but I wanted to wrap up with some stuff that we were talking about recently, and just preparing for the crisis ahead. Again, a correction or a crash happens every 9 to 10 years. We're at year 9, basically, depending on how you're counting it, but we're right about year 9. And I have a bunch of headlines. I don't want to be a headline reader, and none of us should be, but it's ironic, or it's interesting when you have a bunch of headlines you can pull from different outlets that all say the same thing when it doesn't come into politics, at least. But you just have, a lot of headlines here. Italy is a crisis waiting to happen. The Germans send Rome shock threat. Italy's big 3 problems could trigger the next financial crisis and bring down the euro. Debt boom in India and China threatens a new financial crisis. Why Australia's economy is a house of cards. So you get the point. The next Italian bank threatens to topple. So you get the point. The point is there's big stuff coming, and it's upon us to get prepared. It's upon each person to get prepared, because if all of us are prepared individually, then as a whole we can come together. If we're all just looking to the person up above, the person above us to do something, nothing's ever going to get done. So we have to take it upon ourselves in order to get prepared, in order to get the fundamentals down, get some understanding as to what's going on. That way we can make important and effective decisions going forward. So that's what I wanted to go over today, guys. It's some sobering stuff. I think it's some really fascinating stuff and some amazing opportunities. It's not only fascinating, it's also scary, but it's also means there's some amazing opportunities ahead, whether it is in gold and silver, some crypto, real estate, business, commodities, paper, any of those asset classes. there's a big opportunity ahead, and there is, especially, like I said, especially in crisis, there's always huge opportunity in the backside of crisis. So get prepared, watch for what's going on, know the fundamentals, ask questions, and do some research. Appreciate you guys a ton. I really appreciate you guys and the people joining in, the people watching us afterward. I appreciate all the messages you guys send, and it really kind of fuels our fire. It helps us keep going and providing you guys content, questions to ask yourself, and just the things, like I said, the things I love watching, and the things our team in our companies here that we love watching and studying and going over and bringing to you guys. So I appreciate your time and energy. I know it's more important than anything that we have. When we talk about all these crypto and gold and silver and money, currency, whatever, I mean, that stuff's great, but truly the time and energy is the most important asset that we do have. So make sure you take care of that before anything else. So thank you guys again, and we'll talk to you soon.